This is a lovely story. I have not seen a story put a smile on my face probably in the last, I think, 2 weeks. A federal judge said that a Georgia law banning the state from doing business with anyone promoting a boycott of Israel violates the First Amendment. In a ruling issued Friday, District Court Judge Mark Cohen rejected state officials' efforts to dismiss a lawsuit from Abby Martin, a progressive journalist and documentary filmmaker challenging the law. She's a person who shows up on Jimmy Dore's channel. That's how I know of her. She also does her own stuff. Cohen said in a 29-page decision that the law prohibits inherently expressive conduct protected by the First Amendment, burdens Martin's right to free speech, and is not narrowly tailored to further a substantial state interest. Even assuming that Georgia's interest in furthering foreign policy goals regarding relations with Israel is a substantial state interest, defendants failed to explain how Martin's advocacy of a boycott of Israel has any bearing on Georgia's ability to advance foreign policy goals with Israel. Cohen, who was appointed to the bench by former President Obama, wrote in his decision. The lawsuit is still in its early stages, and Cohen has not yet ruled whether the state law should be struck down. The Georgia Attorney General office declined to comment. Martin applauded the decision in a statement on Monday, saying she was thrilled by the judge's finding. My First Amendment rights were restricted on behalf of a foreign government, which flies in the face of the principles of freedom and democracy, she said. The government of Israel has pushed state legislators to enact these laws only because they know that sympathy and support for the population they brutalize, occupy, ethnically cleanse, and subject to apartheid is finally growing in popular consciousness. They want to hold back the tide of justice by preemptively restricting the right of American citizens to peacefully take a stand against their crimes. Damn, that was good. Georgia's Attorney General office, which is defending against the lawsuit, did not immediately respond when asked for comment. Martin filed the lawsuit last year after university officials terminated an agreement for her to speak at a 2019 event hosted by Georgia Southern University under the state law. The contract for her speaking arrangement would have forbid her from engaging in or promoting the boycott movement against Israel. It's really funny to watch conservatives talk about the liberals trying to get rid of their free speech and trying to suppress their right to express themselves and cancel culture, but then you're terminating this lady's ability to express herself and her contract because she doesn't like a government that, what were her words? Brutalize, occupy, ethnically cleanse, and subject to apartheid Palestinians. That's a really good comment. I want to save this, put that in a Google Doc somewhere. One of the best statements I've heard all year. I know we're only halfway through, but that was really good. I want to go back to Cohen's comment because I just want to like refresh it. Sometimes when you read something, you don't internalize it entirely. Where he talks about Martin's advocacy of a boycott of Israel having any bearing on Georgia's ability to advance foreign policy goals with Israel. A lot of times, these people who talk about those of us that support BDS act as if you, as this singular entity, are going to bring about the fall of American Israel relations. That if I, as a, just example, a small business owner were to say, hey, look, my store is not going to sell things to people that live in Israel because the government over there is doing this stuff to Palestinians. Oh my God, how will the United States and Israel conduct relations between each other? Well, this one store owner is just saying, I'm good. These big giant corporations like Amazon and Walmart are still fine with that. So they really make you bigger than you are in a manner to prevent you from being able to express yourself, which again, conservatives like to say liberals are doing to them because their, mascot got kicked off of social media after an insurrection, which, again, was not something I was in favor of, but it's nice that, even though we don't have the official ruling, it just seems like so often things don't go the way they should with a lot of this stuff, that when you get like just that little tiny glimpse of hope, or at least that slight tilt of acknowledgement that, hey, these people should have the right in a country that prides itself on the First Amendment and free speech to express their unwillingness to sell goods to a country that practices an apartheid state. You just, even with something as small as that, this little itty bitty acknowledgement, it's like you're finally out of the twilight zone just a little bit. But yeah, her statement was great, and I haven't heard much of her recently because I've been watching Jimmy as much as I used to. Um, but I'm glad that this stuff is that it has people like that, who aren't afraid to be called anti-Semitic, even though they're not talking about disliking Jewish people, but who are saying, I don't want to work with the government or do anything that supports a country with a government that commits inhumane acts towards people, period. So this is good. I hope some more stuff like this happens. I'm not going to hold my breath, but you never know.